Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies. We are back.
Let's pick our jaws up off of the floor.
Yeah.
Like, what did we just watch?
I don't know. Don't know.
Wow.
Look, Duke.
Wow.
There was a point in the CBS broadcast today where they had talked about how Duke hadn't really been challenged in the last 6 to 7 weeks. And I disagreed with that assessment. I thought for the most part, anytime they had been pushed, and we've seen that from teams, they've responded. And if you're just looking at the final scores, then yes, you would say they haven't necessarily been challenged. But within the context of those games, teams have tried to bully them, be physical with them. They've withstood their own droughts. And they've always found a way to win. Somebody's going to step up. Sometimes it's Isaiah Evans hitting a big shot. Sometimes it's the Con Knipple game. Early in this NCAA tournament, it was Tyrese Proctor. Tyrese Proctor had a really good tournament up until this point. And then you had the Con Knipple game in the Elite Eight. And I thought both Con Knipple and Cooper Flagg did a really good job in the first half of this game. And even to a certain extent in the second half of this game. They're up 14 points, and then there was a Mason Gillis technical foul that put Cryer on the line. He'd hit a three, missed the second of the two free throws, but then put it back, got a jumper in there. And that turned a 14-point lead into an 8-point lead. And you're thinking, okay, fine. And I thought, all right, Duke has dealt with this before. Defensively, they had done a good enough job of keeping Houston off balance. They'll still find a way to play out the string. And with about a minute to go, they were up, what, 6? Yeah, 6 with a minute to go.
It was 67-61.
Yeah.
Duke has the ball, and the Chief, Kelvin Sampson, is not fouling.
Yeah.
And I even said, like, what are they doing? They're going to play this thing out?
Yeah.
And sure enough, playing the thing out was the move.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Playing it out, and I thought, and then, of course, you got to inbound the ball.
Well, that's... where do you want to start?
I don't want places to start.
I really don't want to play the blame game here, and I don't want any of these comments to come off as the blame game. Let's start here.
Yeah,
let's start right here. Houston did not quit in this basketball game. They had multiple opportunities to quit in this basketball game. You mentioned when it's at halftime, it looked bleak itself. I'm riding down here. It's a 12-point game, and Cooper Flagg is putting together one of those signature games where you're sitting here going, okay. All right, we're going to get number 1 versus number 2. We're going to get Florida Duke on Monday night.
Yeah.
It's 59-45 with 8 minutes left. As you mentioned, Houston makes a run, but then Flagg makes a 3 with about 3 minutes left to make it 64-55. And you're like, oh, okay. This game's over. Again, 67-61 down the stretch. And Sampson makes, honestly, an unbelievably difficult decision to not foul. And it works out in his favor. Now, it works out in his favor because Duke was unable to inbound the ball with facing Houston's pressure.
Yeah.
And I get it. When all 5 guys switch and they're as aggressive as they are and they're as fast as they are, it becomes a problem. But there weren't, as Grant Hill pointed out in real time, there were not enough screens. There was not enough structure to what Duke was trying to do to get the ball inbounds in play. Ultimately, the one that cost them was they lollipop one up to Flagg, which, again, you can't do against aggressive, fast players. Houston comes up with a steal. They end up with the 2 points there. And, this whole thing was just like in slow motion.
It was slow, yeah.
It was just like in slow motion. And then still, they get the ball down 1. Flagg has a chance to be the hero and misses a shot. I thought had a pretty clean look, but 8 seconds left. Yeah. Down 68-67, goes to the basket like we saw in the Kentucky and Kansas games and the Clemson games, but did get this shot up, but it was short.
Yeah.
And again, did get this shot up.
Sorry. For some reason, StreamYard is not letting me see any comments.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why.
Okay.
But that's why I went into the actual YouTube proper to see if I can actually look at the live comments, which that is all happening. Sorry, I was troubleshooting on the fly. I'm gone for a week and things change on the StreamYard.
What?
And I'm like, what did you do, Joe?
I have nothing to do with StreamYard.
I'll blame Hayes on this one.
Okay.
I'll blame Hayes
We don't
on
have a
this.
live audience either, so I don't know.
No, we do actually.
Are we live?
We are live. We do have a live. That's why I went and double checked on YouTube. Like, are we talking to anybody right now? No, we are. We are talking to people right now. And I see plenty of people in the comment section getting after it. But for some reason, StreamYard's just not showing me anything, and I don't know why. But that's neither here nor there. The sports phone is open, though. I know I can play those. 919-444-2211. So if you want to call a sports phone, by all means, let's get after it, and we can get into the sports phone.
It's just a shocking, shocking development. This Duke team, the way that they've performed all season long. Now,
yeah,
I say that, and they were in control of this game. I say that.
Mm-hmm.
They lost 4 games this year.
Mm-hmm.
3 of them, Cooper Flagg had the ball in his hands with a chance to win the game and could not.
Same one tonight.
Could not. So that's not to blame a guy who played his ass off, had an unbelievable game. But, you know, when we get into these silly sports radio topics of who's the best this, who's the best that, who's the greatest this, who's the greatest that, these are the moments ultimately you have to put your signature on.
Yes.
I thought he did against Arizona. I thought he was good enough against an Alabama team that they had simply outfoxed, if you will.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good for most of this game, as was Duke. 27 points, 7 rebounds, 4 dimes, 2 steals, 3 blocks, all the things that you would expect out of him. But I told you in the last 30 seconds, I said, well, last 15 seconds, I said, all right, here it comes. Are we going to get the payoff to all of the to the Kentucky and Kansas and Clemson games?
Yeah.
Are we going to get the redemptive arc here, as we like to say, the 4-year speed run all in 1 year?
Yeah.
Or will he come up short? And unfortunately for Duke, his shot does come up short. And then even in the end there, they have a chance to get a cleaner look than they did.
Yeah.
And that's on Jon. That's on Jon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The inbound problems, those 3 seconds is an eternity to get a shot off. I watched in my feed today was the Gordon Hayward shot against Duke back in 2010 when Jon, as a player, won a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
There was about 3.7 seconds left on that sequence. So he should have known he had more time than his players kind of thought. Did not like the last look that they got either. So I thought Jon really struggled in the end game situations here. Not to be unexpected, his first time on the big stage. Not to be totally unexpected, right?
Yeah.
So it's a shocking development, but number one, I think you tip your cap to Houston in the ability to block everything out and get caught up in, oh no, this is it, season's over. And you and I have seen a million basketball games where teams panic down 5 or 6,
yes,
let alone 14.
So, real quick thing about Houston, I want to circle back to Cooper Flagg and Jon Scheyer. Because Jon Scheyer will have more cracks at this. Cooper Flagg will not.
Yeah.
So I think there's a distinction in how you kind of process what you saw in Jon Scheyer's coaching, especially with the inbounds and having that team ready to go. I mean, he called the timeout, you know, and this is what ends up happening, and that's the shot that comes up short. But regardless, the way the first half was shaking out and going into the second half, it felt like, I mean, it was a football game to start. That was a football game.
Yeah, there was not a lot of offensive execution.
Very physical. They let them play. I mean, I'm sure Manny Diaz is watching this going like, wait a minute. Wait. Checks the date. Well, it's April. Wait, am I watching spring tape right now? What am I watching right now? I mean, I know what. Oh, anyway.
The first half played out exactly how I thought the game would.
And it was a physical game, but defensively, Duke frustrated Houston.
Yes.
And I thought that as the game progressed and as Duke continued to fluster Houston and get them out of their game, which is something that Duke has done to a lot of teams this year, is not new to Houston, that Houston would eventually just they would be the ones that see the thing evaporate as time went on. It looked like that
it was.
Okay?
It was.
Again, down 14 points. And I've seen Duke be able to weather these things. They've been able to bounce back. They've had an answer, or they've been able to get up off the mat. However you want to use the cliches, Duke has found ways to settle things out when things get dicey this season, for the most part, all right? Especially during this run. About Cooper Flagg, you talk about those chances. You talk about the redemption arc. And here's where I don't think I'm going to be unfair because of the way that we have talked about Cooper Flagg going into this Final Four. You sent me while I was out of town for spring break. You had sent me a reel from I forgot which podcast, but it was Carmelo Anthony.
Carmelo Anthony himself. Yeah.
Melo himself, because you've given the comp to Syracuse, right? And I didn't watch the reel. I haven't had a chance to see it. I just saw the headline, but I'm guessing it was Melo kind of following in line with a lot of other people saying, hey, man, Cooper Flagg has this opportunity to put himself, sit at the table, right?
Yes.
And that's where I have been very hesitant to jump on board with the very, because I understand the way the business works now. You have to say, to borrow a phrase from Ren and Stimpy back in the day, when Ren and Stimpy do the wrestling episode, where I believe it is Ren who is like, he puts the mask on, he snaps, he's like, I want to speak the loud, funny words, right? You know which episode I'm talking about.
Yes.
But that's kind of what sports media is now. Like, I want to get on TV and I'm going to tell you, this is the greatest freshman I've ever seen in Duke history. And it's like, whoa. Okay. Like, chill out on this. Chill out. Because we're talking about guys who've actually won something at Duke, won stuff. We're talking about people who were there for Christian Laettner, for heaven's sake. We're talking about people, including players who were on some of the greatest ACC teams that we've seen in all time. Not just ACC. Let me take that back. Greatest college basketball teams we've seen, greatest collection of guys we've seen. And I understand that we do this over 3 to 4 years in some of these instances, right? But I was always a little bit like, let's chill out on just how decorated Cooper Flagg is, especially what we know what the standard is. Jon Scheyer didn't take over for Mike Krzyzewski just to kind of keep, hey, we'll have a chance. No, the whole point was to win. The whole point was to keep it going. And for the most part, to be fair, in 3 years, and this is why I think it's a little bit there, because I know the comparisons are going to happen, and I'm going to try to head this off, because there's always going to be a Hubert Davis comparison. Well, Hubert Davis already got to a final, beat Duke along the way to do it, and then they lost in the final. Jon Scheyer hasn't even gotten to a final yet, right? So you're looking at the whole, like, how much have you done? But like, let's look at it. Let's strip away the extremes of it all. What has Duke's program been in the last 3 years under Jon Scheyer? For the most part, really consistent. They've won 2 ACC tournaments. They've been to the Elite Eight, and now they've been to the Final Four. Like I said at the jump, Jon Scheyer is going to have multiple cracks at this thing. He's not even 40 yet, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
So let's relax on what this means for Jon Scheyer going forward. He'll learn from this. That's what good coaches do. That's what he will do. I understand his story, his redemption arc is just starting, if you will, because I'm sure he'll get another crack at this, and we'll hear back from, when he had Cooper Flagg and he had a 14-point lead evaporate. What did they learn? And all this kind of stuff. We'll get that story eventually.
I mean, shit, Rick Pitino to this day will guard the inbounds pass
right.
because of the 92.
Right.
Kentucky.
Right.
91 Duke, Kentucky.
Never. Yeah, man, how many times have we talked to coaches and they always remember that? The wins are great, but damn it. Let me tell you about that time I lost it.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Matt Painter lost on an out-of-bounds play to Houston. And he'll never leave the guy inbounding the ball ever again either.
My goodness. But I think to wrap my point on Cooper Flagg, in order to enter the conversation, you at least got to get to the championship. You at least have to have that shot, which you've had multiple opportunities to have that moment.
I stand corrected. It was all 4 losses this year.
All 4. Okay.
Had the ball in his hand with a chance to win.
All 4. Okay.
All 4.
If you are that, and I'm not trying to grade on a curve. I'm just trying to grade this on the standard that people set. If that's what the standard is, then he has failed to meet that standard. That does not take away from the fact that he had a great season. That does not take away from the fact that he should be the player of the year.
Oh, and was.
Yeah. And was.
Wooden, AP,
all right.
All those things.
He earned all those awards this year. But when we start getting into the thing that separates you from everybody else, that puts you in the conversation with all the people that they claim he's as good as or better, well, then you're going to have to make those shots. I don't want to first take, I'm really trying not to first take this up. I'm not trying to go Skip Bayless, clutch Gene this, clutch Gene that. I'm not trying to do that. No. What I'm trying to do is set the line of demarcation for how we talk about these things. And with the game on the line, with how much you have done as the season has gone on, how much you've progressed, he added pieces.
He got better.
Dude, he got better. He added so much to his game as the season went on.
He got
right down to the threes.
I was going to say he got better,
but you got to make that shot.
I think we'll be able to look at this almost in I've made peace with you'll laugh at this. It's only been 20 years.
Okay.
We're getting on there.
Okay.
A lot of times people would say about Tyler Hansbrough, well, he's the leading scorer in ACC history.
Mhm.
Well, he went to the Final Four 2 different times. Well, he was first team All ACC all 4 years. Well, won a national championship. Therefore, he is the greatest player in the history of the ACC.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyone who saw David Thompson would tell you that you can't be. Okay. Even Michael Jordan would tell you can't be because David Thompson was.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you shortchange Tyler Hansbrough for what he was.
No.
Tyler Hansbrough is the most accomplished player in the history of the ACC. Okay.
Mhm.
I think we're going to look back in 10, 20, 25, 30 years at Cooper Flagg and say he had the best statistical freshman season of any player in ACC history. And there's not a single thing wrong with that.
No.
There's not a single thing wrong with that. But when you start getting into those who's at the table conversations, when you start getting into it, even West Durham was on the Grant Hill he was better than Grant Hill. And I'm sitting here thinking, hold on now.
Chill.
Let's just hold up. I get we're all prisoners of everything this century. I understand that.
I know.
But let's just, so I think that's where he falls short. Now, some of the other tropes. Was this season a failure for Duke? I do not think so.
No.
I think winning the ACC, I think getting to this Final Four, a heavyweight Final Four, getting there, they're not going to be able to sleep. John's not going to be able to sleep for a long time.
No, it's going to eat at him.
Because it's when you have those out of bounds plays like that.
Yeah. One
thing he'll probably do going forward is you designate somebody. And now you got 25 of them at your disposal, and including hey, I'm out of bounds. You go out of bounds. I throw it over here, and then we get another screen going. You maybe even an elevator screen, a guy popping through because they can't switch on everything.
Yeah.
When you give a staggered or an elevator screen. So I think he might adjust something like that because you got to be you're sick over this when you have a 14-point lead, and again the lead late where Sampson, in his infinite wisdom, goes, you know what? I'm going to play this thing out. Just a little bit of a wild hair.
Yeah.
And they showed Akeem Olajuwon at the end there. I had written on OG Fans this week, most people, everyone remembers NC State beat Houston in the national championship. Fewer people remember that Carolina actually beat Houston in 82 in the Final Four. I said, well, this will be Duke's turn to beat Houston. So to see Hakeem and that team have a little bit of peace of mind there.
Oh, I
am slightly happy for that.
I thought this was Jim Nance's team. What are you talking about?
Jim Nance.
It was weird. It was weird.
Guys, sometimes
it was weird.
You could forget. Play golf there with Boom, Freddie Couples.
Jim might be a little off his game at the Masters next week if this continues, man. Just saying.
Or he'll be ecstatic.
Or that.
Either or.
Or that.
You know what I mean?
Hey, look, I've seen that man on Bourbon Street. I know he can get down. Yeah. So we'll see how that works out for him. All right, let's go to the OG Sports phone, shall we? That still works.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
I feel like I should be taking notes when you go to the Roadcaster and turn something up over there.
Yeah, well, because
my people were like,
it's a virtual
Joe, like I can't hear.
Yeah, it's a couple
and
things.
You told me, you're like, turn this up, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And because me, I usually listen to it as a podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm in the car and
you can't hear anything. Like, what?
What's going on?
Well, there's two things going on. One, StreamYard's I'm mad at StreamYard right now. So I'm having my own technical difficulties. But yeah, the Roadcaster 2 has a virtual pod.
Yes.
It's a virtual pod. It's not a.
I felt okay because even Chip Patterson, who has a Roadcaster,
he's got the old Roadcaster.
Oh, that's what it was.
He's got the old Roadcaster.
That's what it was.
We got nothing but the new here at OG Media. All right. Again, when we do the After Darks, man, we're just taking these things as I get them. We raw dog these bad boys. I believe this is from an 832.
I absolutely cannot fucking stand Greg Sankey. And yes, Joe Obius, his phone number is an 832 area code. One of the four area codes, fifth area code? Have they made a fifth area code? I don't know. The greater Houston area. So yes, Dad might have went to NC State when they beat Houston in the national championship and ironically raised a kid up in Houston, Texas. But thank you, God. There is a God. Oh my God, we're going to be 3 national championships down against one of them, not 4 against both. Thank God. I'm typically, it's the Longhorns or the Wolfpack, but I've never wanted to eat fried gator more, and I've had it. It's actually really delicious. For occasions. But go Pack. Thank God Duke lost. They suck anyway.
Gator's not bad. I enjoy Gator. But then again, that's a Florida man delicacy. That's what I'm used to.
I'm going to refrain from kicking Duke while they're down.
Oh,
today.
you know how it's going to be, though.
No,
Look,
I know that. I'm just saying, think about it. Like you would be distraught right now if this was your team.
Yeah.
And a lot of the conversation that we had this week was like, this Duke team's actually kind of sort of likable.
Well,
to the point where I'm sitting here going like, poor Scheyer, poor Cooper Flagg, like I feel so I don't want to say I feel sorry for them because it sounds like I'm in a position to have pity for them.
Yeah.
I have empathy for them in the way that they lost this game.
I agree.
Because I while it was a powerhouse Final Four, and I was worried, I almost cashed out on my ticket because I was worried I would have cashed on my ticket by Sunday for sure.
Yeah.
Because I thought Florida was really, really good and was going to be a matchup problem. I just did not see Houston stitching this whole thing together the way that they did. And it had to be perfect for them to come back the way that they did in the last 6-7 minutes of this basketball game.
2 things. I have been talking about how there's been a vibe shift around Duke because there's no Coach K.
Yes.
And people like Jon Scheyer. Cooper Flagg is actually fun to watch. Con Knipple is fun to watch. And if you don't believe me in the vibe shift, I'm going to show you this blue sky from Lauren Brownlow. My parents are huge UNC people, and I have never heard them this complimentary of Duke without backhanded snipes accompanying it. No Coach K probably helps with the second part, but still. Let me tell you something about Randy. You know Randy.
Yeah.
He's a Carolina guy through and through.
Yes.
And he has no time for Duke. He will absolutely use any excuse possible to make fun of Duke. The fact that they were complimentary of Duke and Jon Scheyer shows you that the vibe shift is complete. However, old habits die hard. And remember last week when come to find out that some VP of comms over at Duke was mad at HBO's White Lotus because of the Duke shirt, the guy from Duke, and he's contemplating suicide. He's
kind of sort of like have a vision of killing himself.
I've not caught up on White Lotus. I'm like 2 episodes deep into this episode, into the season, right?
Yeah.
And they were all men. And I said what Duke is ultimately worried about here, the memes, because the drafts are ready for if and when Duke loses in the NCAA tournament. Shout out to our guy, James Curl. You called it. Patrick Moynihan. Just realized this screen cap from a popular current television program might be apropos. And sure enough, it's Lucius Malfoy, gun to head with the Duke shirt on. Now, as I was texting with Bomani and Dimitri today, the one thing that people should be mad about isn't the fact that there's a bad accent with Jason Isaac's character. It's the fact that guy with the accent would even go to Duke. Come on now. We know better than that. All right, back to the sports phone, 252.
Well, Giulio, it looks like your war machine ran out of gas.
All right, 2704.
Hey guys, it's Paul, the Lumberton native, Kelvin Sampson. I told you, real North Carolinians hate Duke. And Kelvin Sampson, you hated Duke, and I love it. Fuck Duke, fuck Duke, fuck Duke. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Hey, guess what, Duke? Coach K losing in 2022 to Carolina at home, last game of the season. Losing to Carolina in the Final Four. Losing to NC State in the Elite Eight the next year. Guess what? There's no fucking payoff for you, Duke. Just sit there and eat your shit sandwich. Fuck yes, baby. Oh my God, I've never felt so much relief. So much relief. Houston, I love you. I'm sorry I slandered you by calling you Virginia, but less pretentious. I love you, Houston basketball. I love you, Kelvin Sampson. Oh God. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord above.
I was too busy trying to figure out audio that I'm now disappointed in myself that I didn't come up with the real best case scenario for UNC fans.
Yeah.
Which was, of course, we were all kind of like, I was at least saying, I want Duke to win because I don't want the SEC to win. Well, there was a way for that to happen. And Duke still not win, which would be Duke losing to Houston, and now Houston turning around and beating Florida now on Monday night, so that neither Duke nor the SEC gets their win.
All right, to a 919.
I kind of feel bad for Duke. Like, you know, at this point, it's like you've seen your doctor friend wrap a Porsche around a telephone pole, you know, on a rainy night. You knew it was coming. They had a great run. It's kind of sad, but it's also kind of funny. Anyway, go State.
One thing, so to your here's the okay. So I can't pull up the YouTube comments.
I see the comments over here.
But there
Which
are
one do you want?
no. I'm looking at them too. But what's funny to me is that there are so many State fans who are like, all right, this is out of the way. It's Will Wade's time now. State fans, why are you doing this to yourself? Although I saw they got like a top 30 recruit while I was gone. Kind of a big deal. Yes, no? Making a face? Am I missing something?
Task at hand, Joe. Task at hand.
No. Everything has to come back to State, right?
Task at hand.
Will Wade, it's Wade Avenue. Everything's running Wade. I love Will Wade hasn't even coached the game at NC State yet, and State fans are already like proclaiming fake national championships. I love it. That's why the triangle's the best, man. Triangle's absolutely the best. All right, to a 919.
Well, this is what it's like doing an after dark. Well, the UConn loss in 99 was in the title game.
It's from a 910.
Hey, Joe. Todd from Tuscaloosa.
Todd!
Hey, Joe G. Appreciate all the love on the Instagram messages. Called it. Didn't think Duke was going to win it. So, love from Tuscaloosa. Go Tar Heels. Sorry about the loss, Duke, but not really sorry. Love the show. Listen every day. Hark the sound.
Sorry, I'm laughing.
It does make me feel alive a little bit. Now, Todd is one of our supporters. He lives in T-Town, Alabama.
Yeah.
Where his connection to home. He's a Carolina guy.
I love
his connection to home.
I love that the podcast is that for a lot of
love
people.
that.
Yes.
That's number one. But I love now that after a year, our college basketball season, I'm not going to lie to you, man. It was exhausting.
Really?
We had Carolina fans mad. We had State fans.
Yeah,
like,
you know
what I mean?
You did snap at one point.
And then Duke, we're better than you think we are. Okay. And they got better as the year went along, and I'm believing in all these things.
Yeah.
And now here we are, though, because it was like a weird week of like, well, this Duke team's actually like, likable, and it's like a whole thing. And it's a great Final Four. And
it was, by the way, real quick, now that you mention it, there's a lot of people complaining about that it was all chalk. It's all one seed. Second time it's happened. All right, blah, 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 blah. It delivered. Both games were good.
Yeah.
Both games were good. Was it the prettiest basketball with Duke and Houston? No. But it was compelling basketball. And that's kind of the feature, not a bug, of college basketball. Sometimes I think we get a little too caught up in that we want college basketball to be a 1-for-1 with the NBA. I'm kind of mad at myself. I'm mad at myself because I was in LA on Thursday night when the Lakers and the Warriors were playing.
Oh.
And I did joke with the kids. I go, guys, you guys want to go see LeBron and Steph and Jimmy? Like, it's a cavalcade of stars down the street. Okay. Well, not really down the street because it takes 30 minutes to go 2 miles in LA. And then my 13-year-old looks at me dead faced and goes, "Dad, I don't give a shit about the NBA." I went, "Even LeBron?"
Fair.
I mean, it's not whether you like the NBA or not.
Right.
Do you want to see these guys in person? And they're like, "No, we'd rather go to bed early so we could get to Disneyland earlier." Okay, you really are my children. But anyway, but the point is that it doesn't have to be pretty basketball in college to be compelling, and that's exactly what we got tonight. A shout out to as I'm because StreamYard is pissing me off. From Curtis, StreamYard had money on Duke. They shut everything down. They don't want to see. They don't want to see.
They don't want the comments.
They don't want the comments.
Well, to finish my point, in a season of frustration where you're usually guaranteed for only one fan base to be happy.
Yeah.
At least we end the season with 2 of them being happy. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Just not the one who's been happy all year.
Yeah.
I'm going to resist the urge to ask you right now which one you'd rather be.
How about I would rather be taking phone calls. Let's take a 252 call.
Guess who doesn't lose to the Houston Cougars in Final Fours? That's right. One of the other red, white, and black teams that many of you may be familiar with. Anyways, Kelvin Sampson, you're one of our native sons here in North Carolina. Go make the state proud and win this national championship. All right, thanks, guys.
I love the 2 recurring themes of tonight's After Dark. What is the mask off with all the this is likable too. Now they lost. Fuck them. Hell yeah. But I love the fact that state fans are so back, like Undertaker popping up from the casket. Like, what up? Let's go. We back. And Will Wade hasn't even coached the game yet, which I love. Please understand, I'm not diminishing it. I'm not dismissing it. I think it's funny. I love it. And of course, I also love the fact that all these people, it's like, hey, I mean, Kelvin Sampson's actually from here, right? Like, I get it. I get the background. I forgot who it was that pointed out that Sampson is a real North Carolinian when he refers to it as Little Washington. Real, recognized real, because he was. I forgot what he was talking about in the pregame press conferences, but I saw that floating out there. I'm like, yeah, that's real. That's real. But now it's all like, true North Carolinians know you stick it to Duke when you get the chance. So yeah, all Houston all the time. All right. Did I play this 252 already? I've lost track. Hold on a second.
Guess who doesn't?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I already played that one. All right. This is from a 704.
Hey, Joes. Taylor from Charlotte here. As a man with a healthy Duke championship ticket, what the fuck? Go back.
I'm telling you, I was going to the bathroom and my ticket was a $200 payout.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was going to take it because I actually thought they were going to lose to Florida on Monday.
Yeah.
Then I was like, no, maybe it was 2-12. Let me see what it goes up to after the game's over. Whoops.
Lil Man, the OG. Hope your kid didn't really say that. Mine would have got a whack for saying that. What, for cursing or saying that you want to see LeBron James and Steph Curry? There's a distinction. I don't care about the cursing. I did question the whole, you don't want to see LeBron James and Steph Curry? And Jimmy?
Wouldn't that have cost us as much as Disneyland?
Joe,
no.
After you get to a certain point,
yeah,
it's just lighting money on fire.
Okay.
At that point,
dude,
do you know how much
no,
it costs to fill up in LA?
Oh, no, I don't. Actually, is it like $6-7 a gallon or something like that?
I'm tearing up thinking about it now. Actually, it's $5 a gallon. $5.
Starchy.
And for some reason, the budget upgraded me to a 4Runner. I didn't ask for a 4Runner. I asked for an economical midsize SUV to get me around time because gas mileage.
Tell me you're not a former sports writer without telling me you're not a former sports writer.
I know.
Budget, sir.
I know.
Budget.
I know. So they give me a 4Runner. I was like, all right, cool. That son of a bitch is 20 gallons. at $5 a pop. So I had to fill it up.
What was the prepay? 10?
No, I didn't do prepay. God, never do prepay. It's like I think the rental people now know better. They're at this point, they're like, you don't want any of this stuff, right? I'm like, no, all right, cool. They're just like, sign it away, because it used to give you the hard sell all the time. Now it's like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. You don't want it at school. It was $5 a gallon, dude. I was in shock.
Starchy.
All right, back to the phones. This is from an 804.
Hey guys, and a happy National Duke loss in the NCAA Tournament Day to all of those who celebrate one of my favorite, mostly annual holidays. I do want to congratulate Scheyer on almost accomplishing what Hubert has accomplished at the highest level. It took him 3 years and only took Hubert 1. He did outpace him still, but it's still quite an accomplishment. Facts only, stats don't lie. And remember, I'll quote the Duke fans that I've talked to for 3 years. I don't care that they've done better than Carolina this year. That doesn't mean anything, guys. It doesn't mean anything unless you bring home a championship. I'm just learning from Duke fans on that one. Go Heels, baby.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Love you, Sean, but Scheyer so far the first 3 years and Hubert in the first 3 years are not the same thing. In Carolina, it feels like they're putting out a fire every other freaking week. That's not the case at Duke. It's just not the case. They haven't had has Duke had an existential crisis yet?
Not yet.
Have a bunch of former Duke players gone on their podcast and argued with fans and the direction of things?
I suspect John's not going to be treated well on this, Joe.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I know what you're saying.
There's a distinction between discussing X's and O's and what you would have done versus what's the direction of the program.
Sure.
There's a difference.
I know, but
Jon Scheyer
don't forget last year in DC, who was sitting behind the bench and giving it the, now you come up with a good play.
I get it.
Like there's going to be a lot of that.
I get it.
There's going to be a lot of that.
Because I forgot Coach K always,
Never.
Never.
Yeah, Trajan Langdon never dribbled the ball off his foot.
Never decided, we've been Zion's team all freaking year, but you know what I need to do here? Well, I really need to get RJ Barrett his moment here. Sure. Okay. Anyway, 919.
Hey guys. Steve Van here. What I just watched was what we used to call NC State shit.
Oh no.
Maybe now that we have the man, the myth, the soon to be legend, Will Wade, maybe we can officially say that the con has been passed. We don't have NC State shit anymore. We have Duke shit. So congratulations, Blue Devils. I bequeath thee the former NC State shit. Enjoy.
I just snorted.
There's a lot of Schadenfreude on this program tonight.
It really is.
I don't know why I wasn't prepared for it.
Oh,
but I wasn't.
No, I was ready,
but I wasn't.
Well, look, man, once I got past the initial shock of like, oh shit, like Duke's going to lose this game, aren't they? Because you know how it is with me. Usually, I'll try to make a graphic.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was like,
our guy Matt texted you, right? And was like,
he said, hey, watch that wallpaper. I'm like, well, there's a reason why I didn't put a title on the wallpaper yet. But with 30 seconds to go and they're up 6, or 35 seconds to go if they're up 6, I'm like, all right, ready to go here. But then I went, ooh, that inbound was bad. They're down they're only up 3. Let me make one just in case. I'm glad that I did. All right, 21828.
That was the most beautiful choke job that I have ever seen in my entire life. I guess Duke hasn't won the war yet, Joe. Not yet. Bye.
Well, the war will never end. We know that. We know that. But I'm going to sit here. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to keep going back to this because I know this is where the cope comes in. All right. This is where the cope comes in. You cannot sit here and tell me objectively that the 3 years leading up to this point, obviously it ends in disappointing fashion, but I do not question the direction of Duke's program under Jon Scheyer right now. I just don't. And this is all part of the learning process for Jon Scheyer as a young coach, for heaven's sake. Like I said at the beginning, he's only in his 30s. All right. This is his third crack at it. They've won 2 ACC tournaments, Elite Eight, this Final Four. So let's chill on that whole stuff. Whereas at Carolina, under Hubert Davis, it has been drama. You talked about an exhausting basketball season. You know where most of that exhaustion has come from? It's come from Carolina fans. That's where the exhaustion has come out of Chapel Hill. NC State fans checked the fuck out.
Yeah.
All right.
There was a whiplash there.
And they checked out. We got to a point in the season where they just checked out.
Fair. That's fair.
And with Duke, and you know my stance on Duke, with Duke fans, either they're going to roll with you or they're not, and they're not going to bother. They'll engage with you, they'll argue with you, but if they don't feel it's a completely different vibe. The point that I'm making here is that you cannot sit here and tell me that relish the loss if you're a Duke hater. I'm not telling you not to. Enjoy it by all means. If you get the Schadenfreude out of it, do it. But once you take a step back, you can't sit here and tell me that these are the same things. All right. This was a tape to tape thing for Duke. At the beginning of the season, you were preseason favorites. You went and you, for lack of a better term, completed the mission of actually getting here in the first place. Whereas at Carolina, you get to a championship with Hubert Davis on a complete heater. Now, you want to call it a year-to-year proposition, go right ahead. But that's not what Carolina fans really want. Deep down, you know that's not what it's about. You actually want what's happening at Duke. The recruiting's looking good. You're not questioning the direction of the program. You don't know about, who's the GM? Do you have a GM? I thought we had a GM. Who's this guy? Yada, 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 right? So, again, they're not the same thing. If you're only looking at the end results, then you're kidding yourself. You're just straight up kidding yourself, especially when we could talk about these two programs. We're not talking about UConn, as we know is not really a blue blood. All right, 21828.
Hey, I've heard from too many fucking haters tonight, and I just gotta say, man, like, Scheyer gets us to the Elite Eight and the Final Four and wins 2 ACC championships, and I'm just tired of hearing from Carolina fans, man. We've got our coach of the future, and you guys are 1 year away from a new coaching search. And I'm just tired of it. So listen, enjoy your spoils. Yeah, it's super disappointing, but man, we kicked ass in the ACC this year. There's nothing to be disappointed about. I'm proud of my Duke boys. Always Duke blue, all the time. Love the show, guys. I felt like somebody had to speak up for Duke. All right. It's disappointing, but moving on. See y'all next season.
You know what? That's the best call to end it on.
Okay.
No, in terms of taking calls.
Oh. I was going to say, like, I want you to think about while we're here saying the endings. NC State shit had chapters, right?
Sure.
But if you really think about it, what was ever at stake for NC State? If you think about it,
a Holiday Bowl.
Like Kyle Bambard missed a kick to beat number 1 Clemson, but that was a 7-5 team.
I know.
Okay, like the Jamie Newman game. Like, State had a chance to play in the Peach Bowl and win 10 games.
Yeah.
What were the real stakes there?
Triangle good,
right? Brian Underwood steps out of bounds.
It's triangle good. It's feeling good in the moment. Having the cigarette.
The Chandler Parsons slings up a 70-foot shot.
Yeah.
It was a regular season game. Okay. Now, baseball, there were some very real stakes in many of those episodes, many of those chapters, right? But ultimately, like, for the most part, the most famous ones that people remember, what was actually at stake, and think of how much that was a torture for the fan base.
Yeah,
you talk about speed running. Jon Scheyer's speed running right now. I mean, Duke fans are speed running right now, and I get it. They've got 5 titles to put their head down on and fall asleep on, and all those Final Fours to fall asleep on.
Yeah.
But if you think about these last 22, 23, 24, 25, 4 years now, think about if that had been state, like the reaction would be off the charts, even more so than this. It would we wouldn't even be able to function right now as a podcast. If you think about it.
I mean, would it be more?
Joe,
I guess it would be like a Boston Red Sox before they won the World Series type thing.
Because
Chicago Cubs before they win the World Series.
Joe, tonight was bad.
Yeah.
Tonight was really, really bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
and life moves on.
It will. And here come the boozers with their wolf blood. I get that. I get that.
Right.
But tonight was really, really bad.
I am not
really, really bad.
Hey man, look,
and then I'm not even going to give you the other two because you already know them. But those weren't a walk in the park either.
What?
The Final Four against Carolina, the Final Eight against State. Like those weren't walks in the park.
But
either.
they're still here.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we start to get into
And maybe we credit them for not bemoaning their lot in life the way that NC State did for 40 years.
No, that's loser talk. I mean, I don't know how else to put it.
Sure.
It's loser talk. So I get what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing. That's bad. How they lost tonight was bad. How, once again, the ball's in Cooper Flagg's hands and he has a chance. I mean, who knows if they win it, even if he makes a shot?
Sure. The way
we don't
Houston
know.
We
don't know. They're only up one.
As I said, it's 9 seconds.
Yeah,
when he takes the shot.
They're only up one in that
Yeah.
situation. So there's
Yeah.
still plenty of time left. I'm not just going to make it a given, but you got to make the shot. All right? You got to make the shot. And I think the reason why I'm very I forgot.
In fairness to Cooper, it should not have gotten to the point where he needed to.
No,
make a
of
shot.
course not. But
that's why it's bad. It's not bad. I just want to clarify.
No, I do.
I'm not
I still think it's bad.
pissing in the kid's grave.
No, I'm not going to do it
I'm
either.
saying,
but I still think it's bad. No, I'm sorry. It's okay. I think we'll probably talk about this a little bit more on Monday because it's related to the Canes.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, we forgot how to accept, hey, man, you fucked up.
Okay.
At some point, we forgot how to process or be cool with just saying, hey, man, you set the expectations for yourself. Heck, you even have your parents doing interviews talking about, if we're going to do this, if we're going to go to college, we're going to win a championship. That's what it's all in. He's in to win. All right, cool. And as the season has progressed, you have lauded Jon Scheyer and Duke and how they've set this team up. And the depth has been a feature, not a bug. And they've been putting Cooper Flagg in a position to succeed. And he hasn't come up with the win, hasn't come up with the shot. Like I said, I'm not trying to go first take on it.
Right.
But there is another aspect to it. Just because first take has ruined the ability for people, I'm using first take as an example, but it's a general sense of how we talk about these things, right? Like I was having this thought about like Alexander Ovechkin and the chasing of Gretzky, right? If this were in the NBA and there was some mark that was, let's say LeBron was going after, we couldn't talk about it in amazement. It'd be like, oh, well, Gretzky, this and that. Like, no, man, it's actually pretty freaking cool. So we've kind of lost this ability to talk about things in a very just nuanced way. And I think it's okay to point out that with your one shot this season, what you did this offseason to build around this guy and to have the ball in his hand at the end and for it to come up short is to say, hey, man, you didn't get it done. That's okay to say. And the reason why my general attitude about this is, while admitting or at least agreeing with you, yeah, man, that's bad. How they lost that was bad. Everything that we've seen out of Jon Scheyer has told me there's an even keel approach to this. This is all part of the next evolution of his coaching process. What is he going to become? Okay. Because even all the best coaches have chapters to where they were. Every coach has that moment where they question themselves. The boosters don't like it, yada, yada, yada. Right. You know what? This is part of that. This is part of that story for Jon Scheyer. We'll see how he comes. We'll see how he evolves from this. We'll see how he gets better as a coach from this. Okay. So it's only year 3. And I guess that's generally why I'm kind of like, all right, you had a crack at it. All you can ask is to have a crack at it.
Yeah.
That's all you can ask.
They had a clean look at it.
They didn't get it.
They had a clean look at it.
Now, a lot of people don't get back here. And that's true. That's true. That's true. But every single one of these coaches have had, their ups and downs along the way.
Mike lost to Never Nervous Purvis, didn't win it till 91.
Yeah.
4 or 5 times to the Final Four before he won it. Dean, same thing.
Yep.
Multiple trips before he won it. So I do think there's a long road, and there's a long road in front of Jon, but it doesn't diminish the pain of the last 2 years. I keep trying to find this clip he did with Game Day with Billis, and he talked about how painful the ending was last year.
Mhm.
They weren't even good last year. So that's why I'm saying to you, this is going to be one of those, it's going to be hard. Really hard.
From Ashley Ovius, don't try to act like you understand the heel, showing your true colors and your complete disdain for us at the beginning. Duke just lost. No wins for Duke in Final Four in 10 years. I mean, from 20. A, I love the gatekeeping. B, please tell me where I was wrong in what I stated in the last 4 years with Carolina discourse. Tell me where I've been wrong. By all means, would love to hear it. By all means, call the sports phone if you'd like to explain to me what I said about Carolina and the conversations around Carolina and how they've been dragged kicking and screaming into the modern era of college basketball in a very public fashion. Tell me where I'm wrong. By all means, love to hear it. It's not a disdain for Carolina. I'm sorry that this gets to the other issue. I'm sorry that we talk about things in a very frank, objective way. If you're looking for sunshine and popsicles, there's other places you can go.
I would like rainbows and lollipops, actually.
I would like Disney magic all the time. I'm gonna have to talk about it with Dimitri because you just won't understand, man. You want to talk about not understanding.
Did you see my new additions to this office? The media coordination.
We're running out
Thanks
of
for
room, dude.
Our friend Joey, and then the MJ Morris jersey. Is just, I mean, beautiful.
That is,
I mean, come on. That's got to put a smile on your face.
From Paul. Nah, you're right, Ovius. UNC is struggling, but in the meantime, watching Duke fall is still fun. Yes.
Okay.
Nobody disagrees with that. Totally on board with you, Paul. But yeah, I'm gonna have to talk about the Disney stuff with Dimitri because you just don't get it, dude. You want to talk about gatekeeping? You want to talk about people who really don't understand? I'll tell you about that with Disney. You just don't get it, Joe.
You don't get cunnilingus and cigarettes either. So.
Yeah, I thought
earmuffs, Paul. Earmuffs.
I thought McAfee was the only podcaster that got in trouble this week. I didn't realize you were getting in trouble this week too.
Whoa, this entirely different type of trouble.
This is true.
I was retelling the scene of a movie. Thanks.
Hey man, I totally understand what you're talking about because I went to go see Top Gun in the movie theater with my cousin Ralphie, and my mom's mom took us. My grandmother took us, and yeah, man, the Kelly McGillis sloppy making out that was a little awkward for young Joey back in the day. Anyway, that's gonna wrap it up. Thanks for everybody for watching.
Disney truth bombs.
I mean, there might be some Disney truth bombs.
I might take Tuesday off.
No, because guess what? I'm back. I'm out of town again.
I thought you were out of town on Wednesday.
I'm leaving Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not here Wednesday, Thursday.
I understand that.
I should be able to remote do the mailbag, which I noticed you did not do.
I don't know how to do the mailbag. I can barely play the audio without you. What are you talking about?
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
The lights are still on.
But
the
no,
studio
but here's
still works. I didn't break the roadcaster.
But here's the funny thing.
The camera still works.
Here's the funny thing. You know how I've been joking about Destination Dayton?
Yeah.
Guess who's
you're going?
Guess who's actually going to Dayton? This guy. And I get to go to Dayton's arena.
The real Dayton.
I'm excited about this. Not Cincinnati.
Not the AI one that you cooked up.
No, it wasn't. It was the Adobe stock giving me Cincinnati, apparently. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. Hopefully StreamYard will go back to working the way I want it to work. We'll see you then.